This is Housebound. I'm Chris.
I'm Holly.
I'm Ashlyn.
I'm Greg.
And you're invited. Welcome to Housebound, a podcast we made because we needed company. We talk about things that are on our minds, and today we're talking about the way that we're keeping ourselves occupied while practicing social distancing. I'm sure everybody's podcast that has launched during the last month has had their first episode talking about quarantines and social distancing, so I think we found the sweet spot. Like, what I guess just to start it off, have you, Greg and Ashlyn, have you guys found yourself doing anything out of the normal or on a more regular basis than you ever did used to do, just because you're finding ways to busy your time?
Yes.
Like, and if so, what?
Yeah. I think for me, ironically, this whole social distancing thing has probably actually made me more social.
Oops.
And maybe I can get into that a bit more, a little bit later. But I definitely think there's been a lot more opportunities to actually engage with people, whether that's just through video. I think it's just the fact that we can so easily connect with each other over the internet with video calls, whether that's on Zoom or at work with Teams and stuff. So, and you are automatically available because you're not doing anything anyways. Everything's closed. So if you actually say you're busy, that's just a bunch of BS, So, we're all just not doing much other than being on other phone calls with other people. So that's really the only excuse. No, I'm sorry, I can't, chat with you. I actually have a call with grandma or whatever, right? So,
yeah, I feel like the whole world has just collectively gotten over the awkwardness of video calls and is we're okay with this now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I had never touched Zoom in my life before this whole thing happened, and I knew what Zoom was, but now people I had no idea would ever know how to function, how to use an app like Zoom, know how to use it. There would be no other situation in which they would have picked that up, but this is that situation. So thank you, Zoom, for existing, because otherwise we'd be doing Snapchat videos and Facebook Messenger video chats, which I don't know how long that would have lasted, but we probably would have made it work.
Yeah.
I guess the good thing is that if anybody is trying to move at this time, you have an easy excuse to not help. That's probably the benefit.
Sorry. You have COVID-19. I don't want to help you.
You do have it. I know it. You're not hiding that from me.
This morning, I went into work because my workplace is still going. And the VP of our company and my manager came and sat me down 6 feet away from each other as well as from me in the boardroom, the classroom. So it's this huge space. And then they were like, here's this form that we're going to fill out every week now on Monday to see if you're sick. And some people were concerned about what about your privacy? I don't think that it's legal for you to ask about health information ever. And it's actually not. But a lot of companies are doing this now, apparently. And I had to fill out a paper that was this is what my health is like. They're just asking about COVID-19 actual symptoms, but I was surprised. It took 45 minutes for them to go through the entire new policy with me. It was so long.
Just
That's
exhilarating, hey? Yeah.
Yeah. Just a grand old time.
Well, a lot of people, I'm sure, I've been watching a lot of TV. I borrowed my brother's gaming console. He has a few, and so I borrowed his PS3 because he wasn't using that. And I started playing through the Assassin's Creed games, and I just started the second one. It's taken me probably 2 weeks of like 2-hour shifts on the console to get through the first one. That first game never ends. And
I love how
also
you're
the
calling
second
them
game-
shifts as if it's like intensive work.
Yeah.
He like started it and wasn't even excited when he started the first one, and then
Yeah.
got frustrated because it's super glitchy because it's their first game,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
then like forced himself to finish and got angry and frustrated throughout the whole thing. And I kept being like, you're not even having fun. Why are you still doing this? Just move on. He's like, no, I have to finish this.
Because what else is there to do?
You have like 7 games, yeah? Aren't
Yeah.
there?
Well, there's more than 7 games, but I have 7 on disc, yeah. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh yes, I have also been gaming, but it has been Animal Crossing, New Horizons, all
Very
day, every
different.
day.
From Assassin's Creed, other than like the fact that the initials are the same.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
They're
I'm
both
playing AC. You don't know how cool I am.
H.
I mean, Tom Nook is definitely murdering people in secret.
Because they're
I
not
know, he's
giving
a
him
little-
his money.
He's slightly more personable in this one, I'd say.
Not breaking any
Oh.
animals' legs. Give me my
No.
money.
At least not
Thief!
where, at the stage
Thief!
that I am in the game.
The only thing that Ashlyn breaks in that game are stones and tools. So
Tools all the time. In this game they made, like, you have basic tools that you can use to craft things and
Wait, is it like
Catch
Minecraft
things.
then?
you could draw some similarities, yeah.
Okay. But it's not intrinsically Minecraft, but for
No.
Nintendo.
no.
It's
Okay.
it's like Minecraft, but if you also add in like lifestyle design, not just world design,
Okay.
if that makes any sense.
Oh, I was actually thinking about you while I started the second game of Assassin's Creed because the graphics are so much better, and as a result, maybe not as a result, but that's just an aside. The graphics are so much better. They have all these side missions that you can complete while you're doing things. So it becomes more of an open world game than the first one, where
Yeah.
there were other things. Like you could save people from getting beat up and you could climb towers, but that was kind of about it. And in this one, there's a whole bunch of different side missions that you can do as you're going through the game, like finding all these scrolls and getting Leonardo da Vinci to decipher them for you, and then going back to your home and investing money in the town so that people will want to come and spend money in the town so that you get money out of it to fund your excursions. And then one of the things is you basically have this estate and you walk in, and I just took a tour, like a forced tour, of course, because that's the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
But they showed me each of the rooms, and there's like a room for the armor that I buy that I can display it there, and there's a room for like paintings that I purchase and recover, and I can display them there. And I was
Yeah.
like, this is so much better than the triple extra large house Ashlyn has just been able to build that has one additional room or whatever it is. And I get it right off the bat.
Come on, I'm working on that loan. I'll get a second room soon.
Okay.
But then he was like, I can put all of my paintings in here. And I was like, doesn't Animal Crossing have a whole museum? Like, a
Yeah.
whole like
But
chunk
there's
of
no
the museum
paintings.
for...
This is the first one, I believe, where there's no paintings that you collect. You just collect fossils and bugs and fish.
But you can like make your own designs and throw them up on the wall, right?
Yeah, they still have like a design maker thing app.
It inspires you to make your own paintings. You are Leonardo DiCaprio and the next, not Leonardo DiCaprio. What am I talking about?
DiCaprio.
Da Vinci. They
You
both have
are Leonardo DiCaprio.
Michelangelo, all those people. Yeah.
Every teenage nerd.
You are Mark Wahlberg. Yeah. So,
Holly, what have you been doing to pass your time other than going to work?
Yeah, I've been going to work this past week. I've had off, so if this week was my real life right now, I would be also video gaming, but like quote unquote classic video gaming, because I discovered SimCity 2013. on my Origin account.
Yes.
And oh man, got 3 cities going right now. Soon I'll have an arcology. Great work. Oh, I'm so excited about it.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Congrats.
That makes me want to like unlock my find an old version of Roller Coaster Tycoon and give it a whirl.
Yes. I kept thinking about something that my cousins and I had when we were kids where you built just this like one building and each floor was like you could put a restaurant or like apartment buildings. And I think it was just like Tower or something. But
There's an app called Tiny Tower.
Yeah. This one was like a sim game and it is similar to that, but you had to control like how much money you were making versus how much money you were spending. In order to make your tower successful. And I keep thinking about it and I'm like, I just want this game back.
Yeah.
It was so simple. But the SimCity is like dealing with that desire in me. So that's good. I just need to budget something.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Greg and I have been working from home. And we hardly go out of the house at all. So this is a fantastic time to try doing new things with my hair because nobody sees me anyways.
Yes!
So I recently made a bit of a purchase and bought a deep waver for my hair. Are you familiar with that tool?
Yeah, with the 3 like big
yes,
barrels.
I definitely am.
Yeah, so it's going to be hard to describe just with words, but it's basically it's a hot tool that you use to shape your hair. And there's variations upon the theme, but it essentially will it's like a really big crimper for your hair. That you'll move down like the different sections of hair and it'll form a permanent wave. And so I bought one of those and I've been playing around with it.
That's fun.
Sorry, that phrase "crimp my style," is that like a hair phrase?
I don't think so. I think
I have
crimp
no
just
idea
has
where
a
that one
definition
came from.
on its own.
Like, don't crimp my style? You know, like I have my own hairstyle.
Isn't that cramp my style?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, that's not a phrase, Greg.
Oh, I can make it one. Don't crimp my hairstyle. There we go.
Add that to the podcast tagline. You're invited. Don't crimp my style.
We'll have that.
Is crimp not the right word for that? I think it is.
It's definitely cramp.
It's cramp.
Cramp.
It's cramp.
Really?
Yeah,
like
don't cramp
in
style.
pain?
I think we need to hire an intern to do this research for us while we're on the podcast. Although Chris seems to be up to...
I think he's looking it up.
Checking it out.
Oh boy. Oh wait. Guys, wait.
Uh-oh. What did you find?
There is a cramp my style, but Urban Dictionary, which is not a reputable source.
Yeah.
Does say that crimping is also an acceptable use. So
yeah, don't crimp my style. There we go.
Use with caution, I guess.
Anyway, sorry, I've crimped Ashland's style with this. Sorry, keep talking about your deep waver.
That's pretty much it. I've been trying it out.
Yeah, I also tried out something new. I French braided my hair just in one to see how that would do. And I think after my next shower, I'm going to try in two French braids down the back of my head.
Pigtails, basically?
Yeah, and sleep
or what
in
are they
that
called?
and see what
Boxer
that
braids?
does. They're what?
Boxer braids. That's when you have 2 or more, and you braid them so that the braid is on top of the hair.
That's a
braid
Dutch
them the
braid.
opposite direction. Yeah, but if you have multiple of them running down the side of your head, I believe they're called boxer braids.
Oh. Not to be confused with box braids, which is done with 4 strands.
Oh, is that what they are? Look at me learning things.
Yeah.
I thought that
But
was
boxer
a four-stranded
braids might be a thing. I don't know. Well, boys, this is a nice conversation for us. How are you doing?
Well, in terms of how I've kept my hair during this whole isolation, is doing pretty well absolutely nothing with it. I kind of wake up and I sort of make sure that the part that's off to the side is off to the side, and then I just go about my day. So Ashlyn's definitely wanting me to get it cut at some point. She keeps staring at me over top of our laptops and just like not in a loving way that's like, I really love the way his hair looks, but in a way that's like, I wonder what I can do to that if things get desperate. So
that is completely true.
Yeah.
Are you gonna shave your head like people have been doing?
No, I probably will not. I will probably let it grow out as long as possible, and then Ashlyn probably will eventually just I don't know, start hacking at it with something.
And I stare at it. Well, no, I scowl at it and try to decide whether or not now is as long as possible. If that time has already come.
But you can imagine me as like a hardworking man at my laptop, and just like all of a sudden I have an urge just to look up and just say like, I love you to my wife who's like sitting across from me, and I get that look instead. And immediately, you know, but anyways. Yeah.
Just shut down.
So yeah. I'm like, Ashlyn, you're thinking about my hair right now, aren't you? And she's like, yep.
You bet.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, how's your hair?
My hair is fine because I got a haircut right before this all went down. So
perfect.
For the moment,
So
it's
handy.
okay.
Well timed.
But Holly and I did go for several walks right off the bat, and then it got snowy and was gross out for several days in a row, which I guess there couldn't be a better time for it to be disgusting outside, because then you don't actually have to worry about traffic and everything when you're driving to work and whatnot. But yeah, so walking or just like trying to keep a little bit in shape, because you're just around the house watching TV or eating all day. So that's why I was kind of curious to see if there was anything out of the ordinary that had become a part of your daily ritual, which for me is definitely playing video games, because that's not something that I do, I'm usually at work editing video, or I'm at home editing video, or trying to drum up business for video, and that's kind of about it. But yeah, I have spent quite a bit of time like sitting around thinking in advance of meals, like planning suppers or lunches, and
which is lovely.
And whether or not I follow through with that is a different thing, but I've been sitting around planning them. And B, just waiting for all the things that I had planned to do that are now being canceled or moved, and waiting for all of these different services to prompt me as to how I'm supposed to go about getting refunds and all that kind of stuff, which is a big headache. And I imagine it's a big headache for them too, but it's taking up a lot more of my time and my headspace than I would have preferred it to. So that's no fun. It's not all food and games.
Yeah, I have a day planner essentially at work, but I also put in some life events occasionally into it. And I had opened that up. Not that I'd used it in a while, but it was weird to try to identify the week, because there was all of these events in there, but they weren't actually lining up with my days because everything is canceled. And so I was trying to look at the week and be like, is this actually what week it is? Because my reality is not at all matching what is written down here.
What was planned.
It was this weird, like, dissonance.
Yeah, it's a weird time for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know for me, sorry, this is back to video games, but I hadn't had a chance to chat about my experience with video games yet, so we'll just backtrail a little bit.
Take
but I never considered myself an online gamer before, but due to this whole, keeping ourselves in our houses and not really interacting with people like physically, and I do have a lot of like those games that are like local couch cooperative games or whatever, where you're all just kind of sitting there. I mean, us as a group, we've experienced those games before, but now you can't really do that anymore. You can't just invite people over and have them join you that way. So this Nintendo Switch has like an online service that I never really considered paying for, but I'm on a second week of it, or second 10-day trial, and then I think I have one more 10-day trial because I seem to rack up those trials, like, I don't know, that they just pop up here and there, so from different things. So but once that's happened, I'll probably pay for like the full year, and because there's definitely times now where I'm connecting with friends from high school just via playing some Rocket League, which is essentially just cars and soccer mixed together, and we played that for like 5 hours straight, and it was great.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, so things like that, where like I wouldn't necessarily have considered myself doing online gaming, but now I am definitely going to be doing online gaming, in some capacity, just because it's a way to like stay social with my friends, instead of just a Zoom call or something like that, but actually like, let's go do something. So
well, you've now tried online video games and online board games.
Yeah, like the board game thing, like with are you talking about the one where I tested it out with like Chris and Matt, like that board game? Or
No,
are you talking about Dungeons and Dragons?
Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of weird, but I think I'm not a Dungeons and Dragons person to begin with. I'd done like one in-person game, and then now we're doing like it over with like I think Discord, I think, was the video app that we were using. And then with some other platform that allowed us to like move little icons along maps and stuff. So
D12 or something like that.
Yeah, something like Roll12 or something. Yeah. So yeah, that was definitely weird, but like still good. It just made it, I think, a lot longer, because like there's those pauses where you're kind of like, oh, do I talk? Do I not? And, like that kind of awkwardness of video chatting. So it wasn't bad. It's just, I think it's a new world we're living in. So we're just having to learn how to try to figure out what translates well online and what does not. We've all four experienced, like, Holly, were you at the last Jackbox night that Chris put on?
I was in the other room.
Like, as in the last
Sim
one,
City.
sorry. Yeah. Were you at like the first one, I mean? Like the one that me and Ashlyn were at? Okay. So yeah, like we've all experienced sort of what that looks like. I don't know, Chris, do you want to talk about Jackbox at all? Or, because that is a weird new thing that's become a norm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, for those of you that are listening that aren't familiar with it, Jackbox is really just an online, or it's a bunch of computer games that you can play, where you throw up on the main screen kind of the digital game board, and it gives you prompts, and then you use a site on your phone. You don't even have to download an app. You just go onto your web browser and you use your phone to answer those prompts and compete in games. And so we figured out, how to do that pretty efficiently through Zoom. Again, shout out to Zoom. So that hasn't been it. I mean, I'm sure I'll get bored with the games sometime soon. Like, it's already starting to wear on me a little bit, because I've never played them so much, so in such a short amount of time, because we've done a couple of group meetings with some of our friends from church, and then we did one meeting with some other friends, and I'm sure that we're going to be, we did some
our
the
siblings.
other night with my sister and brother-in-law. So we've been doing a lot of them. And so I'm probably going to get tired of the games. But the fact that the technology is available that lets us do that relatively seamlessly, there could never be a better time to be stuck at home and isolated from people than in an age where we have access to where we have such wide access to technology. Because you don't even have to have 12 TVs and a bunch of video equipment in order to live stream. You can do it straight from your phone and the Facebook app, or you can use a video chat app. I mean, there was always Skype, so you could have always used Skype if Zoom didn't exist. You just might not be able to do it with large groups of people. So yeah, the availability is there.
Well, and not to mention, like, being able to just start a podcast because we're bored and at home and don't get to see each other.
Mm-hmm. Like this, yeah. So, which I'm sure, and not I'm sure, I'm positive that other people have done, because while researching, domains and stuff for this podcast and options for it, I came across many podcasts that had clearly been started in the wake of this whole 2020 COVID-19 crisis. So everybody else, there's a lot of people out there that have the same idea. I think the thing that will make it or break it for us, or separate us or set us apart, is whether or not we keep going forward with it, whether or not we say something worth listening to. And I don't know, just like, we're normal people. We're not radio personalities or anything. We don't have significantly extraordinary lives. So
Speak for yourself.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
We don't all of us have extraordinary sounding voices.
Yeah.
My life is extraordinary.
But I've enjoyed while on this time of like social distancing, being able to not just focus on what's being removed from your life, but bringing in new things into your life. And one thing can be starting a new project. So I'm excited about this podcast and about like trying something new and bringing something new that I enjoy into my life.
Me too.
Mm-hmm. And I think I mentioned this when we were kind of coming up with the concept and throwing out ideas, is that if the whole social isolation thing ends, which we kind of feel like it will, in the middle or close to the end of summer, and then that's it for the podcast, then that's fine. I have this habit of seeing things that I do in my life, and I think we'll get into that with one of our next podcasts when we talk about school and education and what we want to do, like finding a job for the future. But simply the things that I do throughout my life, I kind of see them not compartmentalized so that they're not touching and interacting and affecting the other things in my lives, but that they are simply like something to fill this void now. And then that usually drives me, or it has driven me, into the next phase of my life. And I'll take some of that stuff with me into that next phase, and maybe use it, or maybe focus heavier on it. But I kind of feel like that's what it is with this podcast, is if the podcast ends because we all get to see each other again in person and we start having less and less time, because really the only reason we're doing this is because we have so much free time, then so be it.
So this is, you think of your life like seasonally. Yeah,
and not in a negative way at all. So I hope it didn't come across like that, but
no, it doesn't. It just as in there's just multiple new openings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like there's an opening to try something, so what the heck?
Yeah.
But
yeah, and I think it's also a matter of like, is this something that will, as the seasons change, like that it'll transition, so that leaves in spring eventually will transition into fall into something different, but still, has its own beauty and and appeal to it. So we'll see what ends up happening, but this could be something where we're actually in a fall season and the leaves will drop and that'll be it, or it might be something where it'll actually turn into something more unique. So yeah,
it's an adventure.
It is.
And the real adventure is finding the friendship along the way.
There we go.
It was in our hearts all the time.